Hi! On the Woodpecker today, as Christmas gifts. Last year, I made some mystery boxes. I hope my family members will be able to open them. For several years now, I have made a tradition of giving padlocks to members of my family for Christmas. Unfortunately, several of them have never been assembled. That's why, last year, I've decided to make this mystery box, which is already assembled and comes with a gift hidden inside. In fact, this idea comes from Marc from La Bisonnerie channel.
Donc aujourd'hui, je fabrique une nouvelle énigme.
He made a similar box a while ago. You can go and see his version. Mine will be made a little differently. I start by drawing the box in SketchUp to try to visualize the design. Inside the other box, there's another box which will contain the gift. There's also a compartment for the marble and some space for the internal box to move so the marble can escape through the hole in the small compartment to finally lock the lid in place. The first thing I need to do is to create the boxes. For this, I always use the boxes.py website. I start by entering the box dimensions and jump to the fingers fitting section where I can change the value of the play between the fingers and check what it will look like. If I enlarge this a little, you can see that there will be a little play between the fingers, which is exactly what I need. Next, I import this design into Aspire. Here we can see all the parts for the box. I make several modifications for the holes I need to add here and there, and I have the design for my mystery box. I also have another sheet for the thicker pieces, like the lid and buttons. I also have a sheet with my logo that I will have to burn with a laser. The rest of the sheets were just used to accommodate the leftover plywood I have on hand. It's time to cut the pieces of plywood to test my design. After screwing my suction box onto the CNC table, I can start the cuts. Cutting a box takes about 15 minutes, which is much better than the 2 hours I estimate with my laser. When it's finished, I can collect all the pieces. As you can see, it's super easy. It's 10 times quicker to cut with a 1mm cutter than a laser. However, I have to sand all the pieces one by one. When the first box is cut, I dry assemble it to see if everything is perfect. In fact, it's not really my first cut, because the fingers of the very first one were too wide and didn't fit together. But this one comes together nicely. Except the bottom hole is not in the right place. I fixed that and cut several other pieces of plywood to make more boxes. But this time, in addition to fitting super well together, all the holes seem to be in the right position. To really test everything, I have to cut a lid. I put tabs on my first test, but I removed that for my production. To test the lid, I absolutely have to glue the mechanism in place. Here's how the lid is going to be held in place. When it's in the other position, the lid can be lifted up. But in this position, it will be impossible. Since it works perfectly, I can start producing more boxes. For the lids, I use the plywood I have on hand. While the CNC is making the cuts, I sand all the pieces that are already cut. When I have nothing left to sand, I glue the boxes that I am going to give for Christmas. During this time, the CNC keeps on making cuts. I also need several other boxes for this season's Christmas markets. That means more boxes to cut. But I still have to check if everything really works. To do this, I temporarily put the buttons in place, put the marble in its compartment, and put the lid in place. After moving the internal box, I drop the ball out of its compartment and the box is locked until the ball returns to its place. Since I'm satisfied, because everything works well, I can glue the buttons in place. The only thing I really have to be careful about is not to glue the dowel on the outer box, otherwise nothing will work. Everything works perfectly, but I'm not finished. I still have to take care of the plywood while the CNC cuts more boxes. I also have to burn my logo on the lids of the boxes that I will be giving as presents. On the boxes that I will be selling at the markets, I will burn it on the bottom. Here are all the pieces to make 11 boxes. 3 are already assembled for Christmas. We have to give them away.
Un cadeau! Une boîte mystérieuse!
Much of the evening was spent figuring out how to open the boxes. Eventually, our son got his gizmo figurine to put in his Christmas tree, while Eric and I got a pickup figurine. This was how I made the mystery boxes I gave for Christmas last year. This is the first video of the gifts I made last year. To see the other ones, you will have to come back to see me on the Woodpecker.